Well, I have to make new motor mounts. So the builder put the oil drain for the turbos right behind the motor mount. And the motor mount that I had on there no longer fits. I made this style. And that went in there like that. And you can see right inside there, there wasn't enough room to get a fitting on there. But that's not the only reason. They actually didn't line up with the holes anyway. This is a dart block, which really shouldn't make that much difference, but the holes here didn't line up and they weren't even close. So I'm just going to make a square plate, bolts on there, and then I started to make some little bungs here. Goes in there thusly, 1/2-inch bolt, and then because I don't throw anything away, I had this nice piece of tubing already bent. It's 1 3/8 or 1 1/4, probably 1 1/4, but it's real thick wall. It's going to be real strong, and then I can make it curved. Have it go in there like that. Have it curve and kind of go around the hoses and give me a little bit more room. That'll work really good for this side to get me around that fitting right there. Right there. So that's what I am in the process of doing. Thought I would show you guys this cool little tool that I've had for a little while. They've popped up all over the old TikTok and stuff. But it's this chamfering tool. It's actually relatively cheap. I got it on Amazon. There's a bunch of different models, but you just run it right along the edge of any metal, steel or aluminum. And see that nice little chamfer? Look at that. I mean, you can obviously sand or file something like that, but that is so slick and easy and quick. And one of the cool things is it actually does round pieces too, like a little hole. So you can see my little piece is not chamfered yet. It has a tiny little bit. So get in there. Boom. So cool. Super easy. And then of course you can do the outside. Sorry if that's a little loud. But right? Isn't that cool? So pretty clean. I like it. There we go. Pretty much done. I didn't show a lot of the fabrication because it's pretty straightforward. If you do fabrication, I'm assuming you know how to cut a square and drill 4 holes, so that means that's a piece of cake. A lot of people don't have tubing benders, so you can maybe have a buddy that has one, or find somebody that pay them to do that. That'd probably be the only tricky part, but I mean, just cut that, and then you definitely would need a lathe to cut these bushings. I just did solid stock, cut them out, and it fit perfect. And now my fitting, you can see back here, oil fitting for the drain back, fits perfectly now. I got room, a little bit of room, but there's definitely room in there. And now hose is a tad long, so I'm going to shorten that up a little bit. But yeah, it worked out good. So now I'm going to powder coat these bad boys, and they're ready to bolt on. So I'm going to show you the process for doing some powder coat. So all I did was just clean it up a little bit in the glass bead cabinet, just to kind of knock off any little bit of rust that might have been on there, or grease. So all you got to do is hang this up on here. So this is a Eastwood powder coating system, pretty cheap. I think I paid maybe 119, 129. It was on sale when I got it. I made a little rack out of an old Snap-on cart. This thing is ancient, so I didn't really have any money in it. You can make a rack out of anything, you know, just you can get a cheap Harbor Freight one, or you can build one from scratch. Where you just hang it on here, so you have a little electrode up here. This is negatively charged, and then on the gun you have this little wire right here which is positively charged. So when you give it the beans, the powder comes through here and comes out the end right here, and it's actually positively charged, and it just literally clings onto the metal, kind of like static electricity, and then you just cook it. So pretty simple. So you have a manual switch. Oop. Hook up my air source. Got a little regulator on here. Regulate the air down. So you see it's got a little zap to it. If I don't pull this trigger and don't charge it, the powder doesn't stick. It's kind of crazy. Pull the trigger and then boom, the powder's on there. So all you do is just hit it. And you can definitely put too much on there. I've done that before, and it basically just acts like paint. When you cook it, it'll actually start running. I mean, you got to put quite a bit on there. I got a little close there and kind of had a little zap. And that's it. Simple as that. So now both pieces are all powdered up. Right now I could literally just wipe it off. In fact, I'm going to wipe it off on the end right here. I don't want the powder on the end to a little close on the bracket, so just wipe a little thickness off there. I have tape. This is a special high temp tape that I could tape stuff off and it won't melt. But for little things like this, I just wipe it off. So now all I do is stick it in the oven for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. And voila, it's cooked. So I will show you that part. Alright, so there's my setup. I literally got this thing for 50 bucks off of Craigslist back when Craigslist was the shit. Now it's OfferUp, but just use the original little racks in there. Have it hanging. So whatever you can fit into a kitchen oven, you can powder coat with this system. So super easy. Now we just set it and forget it for 20 minutes anyway. I've had this thing under this little rooftop out here in the weather for, oh my gosh, it's been probably 8 years. And I just built a little stand, keep it off the ground so I didn't have to bend over. Hooked it up to some 220. I think the burners didn't work or something didn't work on top, but obviously that doesn't bother me because I didn't need it for that. I should probably wipe this thing off a little bit. But yeah, we'll just sit there for 20 minutes. And I'll set the timer on my phone and we'll see how it looks. I haven't really talked about the sandrail itself. I built this car several years ago, probably 3 years, to Tatum TRX18, TRX4, so it's the 4-seater. I used to work for Tatum for just a short time, and this frame was sitting in the back all busted up, Somebody had bought this car, finally got it all done, picked it up and took it out and wrecked it. Actually cracked the tubes in the front. The whole front part was all cracked and busted up. So I asked the owner if I could buy the frame, and he said, well, the only way I'd sell it if I fix it. So they jigged it up, cut the front end off, made a new front end, and then a buddy of mine bought it, and we bought all the parts to put it together. He sold me the original body that it was all cracked and busted up. So I fixed that and made the tilting hood for it. He's got the billet aluminum A-arms, which are freaking amazing. You know, obviously we bought all the Tatum parts to go on the car. He upgraded the shocks, went +1 size on the bypasses and coilovers. I mean, this car is just absolutely amazing. And we had that 408 that I talked about. In fact, this one right here. Had this 408 in there when I originally built it. Had nothing but troubles. I mean, we're obviously trying to put a lot of power to it. Finally blew it up, and then that's when he got this motor. I mean, these cars are just, I mean, look at the arms on this thing, is just total beef. You'll never hurt any of that stuff. They have all their own proprietary calipers. They make all the stuff in-house. So this is like I said before, it's a Dart LS series block. So it's all the identical measurements of a regular LS, but it's 427, which is basically just a LS7. But it's got all the good parts in it. It's got brodix heads that are built by late model engines. They did the CNC porting. And I mean, this thing should scoot. Last year we had 1,350 horse. It was 1,032 at the wheels, running the 408 on E85. This year we're running it on race fuel. So upgraded the turbos a little bit. Got just a little bit bigger compressor and a little bit changed the design on the wheels. I built the stainless steel headers like I mentioned before. Turned out pretty nice. And now I've just been working on kind of cleaning up hoses and rerouting stuff a little bit. Trying to make it nice. Little 8L clamps on there. I was actually just able to shorten a lot of these hoses up. So stuff like this I have to reroute, or I mean not reroute, but obviously tie all that up. Now that the cage is on it, I'm able to, figure out where the motor mounts are going to be, and then I can take all this and tie it back so it's not rubbing on the headers. And I got to shorten this hose and clean up some of this. Is the two-step or dual stage boost controller. Coil mounts are back there, kind of clean. Yeah, this thing's turning out good. So I put these motor mounts on. I'm actually getting ready to go pick up some injectors right now. And I'll be ready to start here pretty soon. There it is. And my timer has gone off. Doesn't seem like 20 minutes, does it? Behind the shop, got a little washer, parts washer, glass beater, Harbor Freight's finest, and then of course the 80-gallon air compressor. So turn this off, and voila, 2 semi-shiny satin engine mounts. So the whole process from start to finish, grab some metal, fabricate it up, powder coat, and we bolted on the car. One-stop shop. It's actually pretty freaking awesome. I don't have to take this stuff anywhere and make it and bolt it all on. So this needs to cool down because it's hot. So usually just leave the door open and pull the rack out a little bit and let it sit here for a while. And then come back and it'll be ready to go on. all cooled down and ready to bolt on. Finished product. Welds are a little wonky, but I actually welded them on the car so they would stay in place. I've done a bunch of tack welds before and then go weld them on the bench and try and put them on the car, and they've moved an eighth to a quarter of an inch. So it's best just to do it on the car, that way they don't move, but I had limited access, so some of the welds are a little wonky, but you really won't be able to see it, except for the fact I just pointed it out. Yeah, these are ready to go. We'll bolt it on. So final install. We got some 8L clamps up there holding the wires up. Looks pretty clean. I still got to shorten this up a little bit. You see the big loop on there. You can't have an oil drain for a turbo coming down and then back up, so it needs to be, I'm probably going to get a 90 for this. It's got to be up here somewhere, flowing downhill the whole time. So yeah, 90 up here would look a lot better, or work a lot better. So probably do that. This side's pretty good. It flows nice and downhill and stays away from the header. Motor mount's done on this side, all buttoned up tight. Another 8L clamp up here, holds everything nice and clean. So yeah, stoked. Went and picked up the fuel injectors this morning. That was kind of the last piece of the puzzle to actually get it to the point where it can run. So I went to fuel injection service out in Mesa. Got some 1100cc injectors. We had 1600cc injectors before, and that's too much for this. Too much for this motor, so had to get something a little bit smaller. So these should do it. So I'm going to lower it down and install those. Well, I think she's done-ish. I haven't started it yet, but everything's cleaned up, tucked away, zip tied. Clamps where clamps are supposed to be, keep things away from the axle. It's all bundled up. I'm gonna wash these still, but at least they're on. Pipes are on. Everything's all tied up nice. The injectors are in there. Pretty nice little unit. Obviously got to go through it again, kind of sort everything out, make sure everything is tight. And yeah, it's all tight. So I got the injectors, and I thought they were the right length, but apparently they were a little bit taller than my other injectors. Of course, nothing's easy, so I had to make little spacers down here, little aluminum spacers. 6 of those, carved them out on the lathe, drilled a hole, made the little stand a little bit taller. So those are on. No biggie, just more work, more time. But I think we got her done. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Just gotta go get some fluids, gas, coolant, and power steering fluid, and breathe some life into this. So that should be the next scene. Okay, so we're gonna do a start up on this thing. Finally got all the fluids changed. Had some issues trying to get it started yesterday. I had to download some new software for it. The software in my computer was kind of old, so got new software, so everything looks pretty good, and we will give it a go. That's promising. Well, as you can see, the car's gone. Drove it out. And back in the hands of the owner. So now he's going to get her dynoed. I will try and let you guys know. Not sure exactly when it's going to get dynoed, but that car will definitely be in the dunes with us. So I will let you guys know horsepower number. But once again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that series. I know it was kind of long, but there was a lot of footage in there. And I think some of it was kind of interesting. Hopefully you learned something. And once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.